Thank you so much, Shubhadra ma'am. So, I thought Dr. Shuven has already, set the tone and said then, why should a clinician not earn from some of the innovations or some of the clinical research that you're doing? So what I thought is, finally, sometimes, not always, but the bottom line is, is the revenue that you're making in a year, your loans, and like Dr. Kakadia told us, that his exam machine broke down even before, half of his loan was through. So, are there legitimate ways to earn by doing some good clinical research? Is something that I thought I'll talk to you about. So this is basically what you're trying to say. Can you earn legitimately by doing good clinical research? So you know expert tips I wish I knew. This is always in retrospect. When starting research, sometimes we are late. We are not really taught a lot of these things during our residency. So how do you be a good researcher? Because clinical practice is more lucrative, and acquiring strong fundamentals in clinical research techniques is critical right from the beginning. So during residency is something that we need to inculcate a lot of these habits. Build up your research skills from residency days. So I'm reiterating this, but however, it's never too late to start. So to be good at what you really need to sort of break it down, as you've been hearing from a lot of the speakers before, is you need to be good at literature review, some basics of biostatistics, communicating with a biostatistician, some basic skills of manuscript writing, and then you have to understand how to deal with rejections. But the problem is we've never been taught this before, and really we really never have been taught this before. So we are all trying to learn bits and pieces when we are out, assuming that we have become good at clinical research over a period of time. So what you can really do, to make legitimately have, can earn more from this. So this is a summary slide. We'll take a look at a little bit of each of these. So what you can really do is write research grants and funding. You can be part of multicentric clinical trials and participate where there is remuneration for those. You can be a research consultant, speaker, or advisory to the pharma world. You can serve as an expert for market surveys. You can collaborate with academia. You can offer research-related services to other physicians. You can act as an expert panel for many government and sometimes international agencies. You can review papers and earn these days, and you can assist venture capital firms in analyzing some proposals. So I'll share a little bit of my experiences with each of these. So research grants and funding, so the notion or the concept that it's impossible to get is wrong. So I'm sure a lot of you have not even tried to write up a research proposal, but we have people from Shankar Netralaya, we have people from Narayan Netralaya. So there are a lot of projects which are funded by ICMR and a lot of international agencies which are going on in these institutions. But at your own level, you can also do these. So you can look up these. So the ICMR has something called Extramural Grants. DBT DST also has many small grants which are on a recurring basis, which you can look at. And there is I hope that you will take a look at this website. It's called TrialEct. So this is an agency which alerts you about grants as well as about international fellowships. So this is a screenshot of the ICMR Extramural Grant Research Program. So it's easily available on Google. You can look up. So there are grants available from 1 to 5 lakhs on a recurring basis. So this is the TrialEct website that I was talking about. So it talks a lot about get started, active opportunities. You can also host a trainee if you want. So please take a look at TrialEct and register. Then multi-center clinical trial participation is getting more and more lucrative nowadays. So because all ingredients for large randomized clinical trials to evaluate new drugs and devices are really present in India, isn't it? What you really need is patients, good doctors, regulations in place, clinical research organizations. So global pharma recognizes this. Institutions like Johns Hopkins have India offices in Delhi and Pune now. So they are big time into tuberculosis and HIV drug research in India. Many institutions are already part of global clinical trials, and there is remuneration offered for your participation. This is just a screenshot of one of the clinical trials on which is the phase 4 clinical trial on use of Lucentis world over, and you can see India has contributed some patients. So there are already physicians amongst us who are part of these international groups. Then you can be consultant to consultants or speakers or advisory to pharma. This is highly prevalent in the Western world, like we already know. So research-oriented clinicians are paid very well in the capacity as speakers, advisors, and consultants. Many physicians also hold equity in some of the upcoming companies. So this is a recent example of a Harvard professor of medicine who has made a whooping $400 million as part of a biotech company's initial public offering. So Indian pharma is slowly rising up to this. They realize that physician inputs can help in many areas, including specific product inputs, sales strategies, and doctor interactions. And if you are an established researcher, you can serve as an advisor and look forward to earning from this source. And then you can serve as an expert in market surveys. So what are these market surveys? Are basically before launching a new drug, instrument, or blades, intraocular lenses, and any of these, most companies think about a market survey. It's almost like a feasibility study for them. Surveys try to understand how these may be received and identify pain points for the end users. Surveys usually target the top brass in a particular field, and you want to be part of that. So a strong research-based LinkedIn profile is a good initiation point. And you can enroll your name in databases such as Marvin. This is the website. Like I showed you trial, like this is also something that you probably should enroll yourselves in. Then you can serve as an expert in market surveys. Simple questions. They can range from which kind of logo do you prefer, to costing of the product, to how you perceive latest medical evidence of this efficacy, how likely are you to adopt it in your own practice. All the top surveys pay very well for your time and efforts. So they are conducted by very large agencies such as Ernst & Young, etc. So I was part of a market survey which was done by Ernst & Young, and it was on design of a new intraocular lens. The collaborate with other academia is something which you can also think about. It is immensely pleasurable, and and such a great experience to interact with academia in other fields such as finance, market research, health tech research, etc. So my personal experience has been I've been involved with the NMIMS. That's a top B school in India, and what we did is I helped them with design a market survey to find out how physicians would respond if medical representatives are replaced by digital marketing strategies. So these medical reps come and tell us write my product. But what if they were completely taken out and you received all of that digitally? How would you react? So I sat through a series of meetings, contributed, earned, learned a lot, and sort of earned a bit too. It's all relative, but still you can earn some doing that. Then you can offer your services to other physicians. Publication assistance for a fee is coming in big time into medicine now. It's very valuable if you can deliver high quality manuscripts consistently, and there is an increasing demand for publishing in the medical world these days. And so this is my endeavor into this. So I run Sengupta's Research Academy, where I offer some research and publication assistance. Then you can be part of expert panels for agencies, say expert panels by governmental and non-governmental agencies who are actually planning an implementation of schemes. So, grant commission invitations. So my personal experience has been, I've been part of the review boards for the Hong Kong Research Grant Council, which is the equivalent of an ICMR since 2015, and there is some good remuneration for these. Then you can actually review papers and earn, where nowadays there are many open access journals who want credibility, who don't want to be seen as predatory. So you can look up what a predatory journal means. So these open access journals are basically ones where you can read articles for free. So what they're doing to get credibility is they're outsourcing manuscript review, who want quality and rapidity of review. So many agencies are doing this. They pay about $50 to $100 per paper. Say if you review say even 5 or 7 papers in a month, it's a good financial remuneration. And the website is called Research Square. I haven't put it up here, but if you want, you can actually go and enroll, and you can upload your CV. And finally, what you can do is assist venture capital firms. There is tremendous interest in Indian health tech startup companies. Government is also investing a lot into all of these, and there are large venture capital firms such as Sequoia Capital or Nexus Ventures. So these are companies which have invested more than $5 billion into India already, and they are heavily investing in health tech startups. So there are some which do this as a niche only for medical health tech. And before investing in millions into these venture capital firms, they want a good idea of how strong this startup idea is. So that's basically called vetting. So your research is a particular field, makes you a subject expert, and proposals will come your way to scrutinize these. So I have been involved with Nexus Ventures in 2 or 3 different vetting processes. It's extremely it is really rigorous, and you have a 40-page questionnaire really to fill out. But then they actually pay you quite well. So in summary, so if you are good at clinical research, innovations, and publishing, what you can earn legitimately is through research grants and funding, multi-center clinical trial participation. You can be a research consultant, speaker, advisory, and serve as an expert in market surveys, collaborate with other academia outside medicine, offer research related services to other physicians, act as an expert, review papers and earn, and then also assist venture capital firms. So you really become you become like a magnet, and then you start getting a lot of different opportunities. So the word earn is part of the word learn. So so this is still from one of the movies which says, "Bacha kabil bano kabil, kamyabi piche bhagegi." So get out of the comfort zone. The magic happens outside the comfort zone, and so try and be good at research and publications. Take home message is earn, enjoy clinical research, learn, and then earn by doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. Any questions to Sunny?
So I just had one question. So how do you balance any conflict of interest? Because you're getting all these things from various areas, and there could be conflict of interest, or what you recommend for one versus the other. So are there things that you have to say, no, I can't do this because I'm already doing something?
Very much, very much. So, ma'am, first thing is that I think the transparency is very important. So, I would recommend everyone who think that they have or may have a conflict of interest to declare it first. And sometimes you may not be in a position to decide, because the person who is sort of employing you, or the person who is actually paying for those services, may then say, this is too much of conflict. So there is always a gray zone between what is too much conflict and what is too little conflict. But I think it's very important on our part to declare that conflict of interest. I think that is important.
Thank you so much. The next speaker is Nivian Madhivanan, speaking on working with industry to bring innovations to the market.